Toasty Thursday afternoon here in Huntington Beach, California, as Beach Worlds 2023 rolls along. Two pool play men's games to finish the day, starting with an actually really important game with two teams that are 1-4 trying to be in the top 8 in the men's division. It's Germany and it is Singapore, and it is so great to have you with us, Evan Lepler, alongside the great Jonathan Goose Helton, making his broadcasting debut. For those who don't know, Goose has been a star for Team USA for a long time. An accident this past January has taken you off the field. Many have been glued to your Instagram stories for the past 11 months. For those who haven't, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm very happy to be here. The beach is my favorite style and play surface for Ultimate. And look at these waves. Everyone's happy. Yeah, I'm delighted.
You're still helping out the USA men in a coaching role. Obviously, your wife is still dominating on the field, and we get the luxury of your expertise in the booth. And this is an interesting game. Germany and Singapore. Germany, a team that's 1-4, but they upset the Philippines, which was surprising, and they played Spain tough last round. Singapore got a universe win over Japan earlier today, so they are hopeful that this is a really important game in the men's division.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems as though this is going to be the game to try to get into the quarters. And both Spain is an excellent team, so coming away with a close game is huge for them.
Got to watch the Singapore men's team yesterday, and they have some explosive athletes. They fell behind against the Philippines, but there were several points, Goose, where their offense worked it smoothly, and we talked about it during the broadcast yesterday, but Singaporean Ultimate has really improved over the last half-decade. And as someone from your perspective who has played against teams from all around the world, what's your kind of perception of the rise of these Asian Ultimate teams from smaller Ultimate countries?
I think most of my experience is with the Philippines. I've gone there 3 times, but as a function of that, I've been able to play with and against some Singaporean teams. They've really taken to a handler-heavy, driven style of Ultimate, and some of those throwers are extremely skilled.
And Team Germany, the Germany mixed team won bronze back in Royan in 2017. The Germany men team that year finished 12th out of 23 teams, so right in the middle of the pack. There's the coach, Steven Koletzko, who was on the Germany team in Royan. He retired a few years ago, but he's helping out in a coaching capacity, and we are underway. Singapore in their perfect pink jerseys, and we'll see if they can start off smoothly offensively. Goose, from your perch, watching a lot of games over the past day and a half, how do you view the conditions here? Certainly the wind has not been nearly as big of a factor at Beach Worlds yet as it's been in the past.
Yeah, this year so far, we've had very, very mild winds. Leading up to the tournament, we had some more significant headwinds.
Beautiful offensive sequence. Person that threw the goal was staring at his mark as if he had made a call, but it will be a clean assist for Cleon Chan. And the goal scored by Para Arasu, who's got 14 goals in 5 games coming into this one. He's the leading goal scorer in the entire men's division right now through the first couple days of Beach Worlds.
Yeah, it seems like they're utilizing him for a lot of their offensive power. That making strike cuts like the one we just saw is a great way to catch goals in Beach.
78 degrees, very slight wind. You've played in all different sorts of sand. How would you characterize the Huntington Beach sand in terms of the kind of the speed and how it moves around when you're running out there?
This feels like a slow sand, and by that I just mean it's deep, it's very powdery. Some other places you play, you feel like you can run on the sand much more easily. This one, a little less so.
Yeah, we chatted with Sam Broadus and Sean McCall, the U.S. women's coaches, before the opening game on the showcase field yesterday. And they both remarked how this was a faster field than perhaps some of the outer fields. But I think it has slowed down today. And as you would expect, they haven't gotten the Zamboni out to smooth everything out. Maybe that's an idea for the future. Who knows?
We're seeing a forced middle from Singapore.
Jan Willems with a deep shot for Christian Hacker. Step shy of the goal line. Thought about the push pass. Takes the smooth backhand Little flip for Jonas Gauger, who entered this game as Germany's leading goal scorer, tied for 10th in the men's division. Couple clean holds, and we're tied 1-1.
That huck was really interesting. Like I mentioned very briefly, we were seeing a forced middle from Singapore, and the defender was actually located where he was supposed to be downfield for that huck. However, because it was tailing away from him, kind of like an opposite of a fade, he just had no chance, even though he went as hard as he could for it.
This German team did scrimmage Singapore a couple days ago here in Huntington Beach. They didn't play a full game to 13, but they played a few different games to 3, and each team had wins in that sequence, so it was a close battle. Germany thinks they have more size and more athleticism, and that's how they feel they beat the Philippines. They'd like to try and do the same against Singapore.
Very flat marks.
And an errant reset throw.
See if they can utilize the break side here.
Yes, indeed. Stumbling, tumbling, but breaking. Germany leads 2-1.
That is a textbook way to score on sand. You see that a lot in grass, but in sand it's even more dominant. There's going to be a trailing defender to the break side, and if you can just get that soft reset going with some break side momentum, it's oftentimes a very easy path to a goal.
Robin Chan quickly picked up the disc. Resets for Nico Mischitschläger, and the 26-year-old with his 7th assist of the tournament. This is game number 6 for Germany. Again, the men's division, there are 10 teams. Each team plays 9 games, 3 Wednesday, 3 Thursday, 3 Friday. And at the end of that 9-game round robin, the top 8 go to quarters. And these are 2 teams that are right on the fringe of that. The winner of this game is in great position with the head-to-head over their adversary. They'd have their 2nd win and be in great position. The loser is in precarious position and would need to play well tomorrow to keep their medal podium dreams alive.
It would not surprise me to see the intensity of this game continue to rise throughout. Another one of those resets where you just get a little break side momentum, finish the job with the trailing defender. Not a lot you can do to stop that.
So a smooth O-line hold for Singapore after the break on the previous possession. Germany's Jacob Kerner was a fingertip away from a D there on the swing, but it's Dylan Ung, the 23-year-old, who scores the goal for Singapore.
It seems to me in beach, if you're on the mark and you see the thrower turn behind to throw that break side reset, you have to be pretty aggressive in taking away what will be the new throwing lane. Otherwise, it's going to be a surefire shot each time.
Got to exaggerate the around mark more than you would on grass?
Yeah, in fact, you leave the mark and you go pretend to be the mark of the person who's about to receive it.
Second O point here for Germany. And the first German turnover out of the hands of Nate Pascal. Hoare picks up to Lowe. And we got a pick. You never know how many chances you're going to get to break on the beach, especially on a day when the wind is not a gigantic factor. In the USA-Canada game, Canada had a couple early chances to break, didn't get them, and never had another chance. And this opportunity is thwarted by the outstretched arms of Jonas Gauger.
I can't say I love the way that they just continue to try to punch it up this nearest sideline. They had some options to try to move it laterally and did not elect to take them.
So Germany with 45 meters to work, going right to left. Junky look from Singapore, and that left a wide open Yegor Naumov.
Going to have another swing over here. Another hole and a goal.
Great minds see things before they happen.
Germany's doing a really good job of finding the holes, being able to communicate as the receiver when they've been abandoned. We're seeing a little bit of a zone look, and Germany's just way too heads up for it to be effective against them right now.
Do you think that Singapore zone, which was basically 3 defenders very close to the disc and only 2 defenders downfield, can be effective when the wind is not that big of a factor on a day like today?
Yeah, I mean, we have, a 6-mile-an-hour wind right now, maybe. The flags are hanging mostly down. It's not gonna shake the throwers much, I can tell you that. Especially at this level, they're going to be able to find little gaps, maybe throw something over the top.
Do you have a favorite junk defense to play on the beach, 5-on-5?
I do. I'm not sure I'm at liberty to share it at the moment.
Come on, Goose. You're on the broadcast team now. This is why we got you. You're not giving away state secrets. What's your favorite defense?
It feels very much like state secrets.
Okay, well, when your career's over, we'll get you back, and then you can spill the guts.
Sounds great. We're seeing some really good movement here from Singapore, just throwing to open hands. It doesn't matter if it's to the fore side or the break side.
Beautiful 2-man game. The pair of Indian imports, Prem and Arasa, collaborating for the equalizer. It's 3-3.
Germany left chasing the entire point. Singapore attacking so quickly that they find themselves in front of the defense.
So that's the 16th goal for Arasu.
Those are absurd numbers.
This is his first ever international tournament. Do you remember your first ever international tournament?
I don't know if I do. It may have been with Beach Ultimate in 2015.
Dubai?
Yeah.
Did you play
as far as a huge stage is concerned, absolutely. Other than that, I'd gone to Manila Spirits, maybe in 2012, 2013, something like that. But yeah, this is to go and have the opportunity to do it on a world stage is really something special, and for him to be so successful so early, he's got to be feeling good.
One of the fun things of a tournament like this, Goose, I know you appreciate it, is just seeing the young talent from all around the world, and some great young players that really could be competitive anywhere.
Absolutely. You never know how good a player is until you sometimes see them have multiple opportunities to show you what they're made of and have connections with throwers just like this one.
Christian Hacker is open, beating Dylan Ungdeep, and a beautiful throw. Germany is up a break and leading 4-3. Penultimate game of the day on the showcase field. And once you get steps on the beach, you can feel like you are all alone. 4-3 Germany. We have witnessed plenty of clean, crisp ultimate on the first 2 days here at the 2023 World Beach Ultimate Championships. Evan Lepler, Jonathan Goose Helton back with you. Germany leading Singapore 4-3 and a pick in the middle of the field.
This point started off with a really phenomenal pull. And then Singapore immediately went off to the races, having one person drag a over-the-top defender out of the space and allow everyone to work underneath.
Namov to Hacker on that last German score. And a big mark from Carta there, making the reset difficult. Pick downfield, slows things up.
There was very little probability that that type of reset cut was not going to generate a pick.
Nice move by Chang. This is Prem.
They're going to need to swing it here.
And a drop. That drop is a byproduct of what you said. They didn't look for the swing. And look, he should have had it up the line, but the flow wasn't there and it was out of sync from the start.
That's right. There was a great counter cut when the swing didn't come off, but should have happened sooner. Germany still showing that they are happy to send it deep.
Robin Chan is inbounds, and Germany breaks again to take a 5-3 lead.
Germany's really showing very little fear of using the steep space. It's always more exciting for us up here and everyone at home when we see a lot of these deep passes. I find that they're a little less frequent on beach because of how much of a possession game it is relative to a grass game.
Nico Mischetschläger launching this backhand. Nico has talked about how he basically learned how to throw a flick from watching Rowan videos on YouTube.
Wow. And how did Rowan learn how to throw? By watching Brody videos on YouTube. This is amazing.
One generation to the next, passing it on.
Technology can change a lot of lives.
Who taught you how to throw a flick?
A gentleman by the name of Clancy Shannon in Jacksonville, Florida in 2003.
Clancy, hope you're listening. Hope you're doing well. Singapore. Oh, the pass was behind the receiver, but Chiang makes the acrobatic catch anyway.
That was really special stuff for that catch.
Yeah, it was Huang that made the play. Jamin Huang, the spirit captain for the Singapore squad.
Was that a push pass?
I think it was.
Yeah, it didn't seem to have quite the legs of a flick, and because it didn't have enough velocity, it ended up being behind the cutter. But really, an outstanding reception. Interestingly, that point started off with a vertical stack, which you don't see a lot of in a long field, right off of a pole with Singapore, and there was no dump. It was very much like a Ironside 2014 era type of offense.
Why do you think the vert stack has fallen out of style at the highest levels?
I think it's still being used just as much. It's being used less for pole plays. Defenses have gotten much more clever about surrounding the vertical stack and preventing easy receptions, but it does seem to be implemented midpoint.
So the basic principle of most end zone offenses. Trying to go full field here, and a leaping catch for Giannis Gauger. And then the reset was dropped.
Oh my goodness.
Right through the hands of Hugo Grimmett. Great chance here for Singapore.
Very big opportunity for Singapore.
This is Poe. Nice around backhand for YC. Back to James Poe, the captain, former U24 mixed player for Singapore, and that's a beautiful shot. Low zips it up the line on target, but hang on a second, because the throw before the throw was called a travel. So that break is coming back. And that's a bit of a buzzkill for Singapore.
I have to give a little bit of praise here to the use of hand signals. Not everyone speaks English, and not everyone at home knows immediately what has happened, but these hand signals help signal to us and every player on the field and off the field exactly what sort of infraction may have taken place.
Conversation continues here between Namath and Chia. Take a look, Goose. Is this a travel?
It does not look like a travel to me.
No, that was not a travel. The players might have been looking at the monitor that's nearby. There are no game advisors currently here at Beach Worlds. And it was Goose making the no call signal, and Namath just made the eye contact with Goose up here in the booth, and that is respect, my friend. A commanding broadcast presence now, and Singapore will get the break, and we are tied 5-5. How about that?
I find that the replay systems, chances to check big screens, almost always results in better calls. I've been a part of a lot of big games. 2016, you might remember calling that game where we had a Megatron screen. Several calls were retracted based on our ability to see the play and review our own perspective.
USA Japan in London, WUGC final. Next round here on the showcase field. Different flavor of USA Japan. I don't expect it to be quite as exhilarating, but you never know. You never know.
You might
be
see
a surprise.
I wonder if we'll see the zone that you want to see.
Unless Matsuno and Arakawa show up along with Kichikawa, I think the Japanese are going to struggle against the American talent that Brian Jones and Tyler Kinley have compiled.
What a gem those two players are. Seeing really good spacing here from Germany. We're having an abandoned handler. Singapore very interested in trying to take away a throwing lane. Even though we're not getting a lot of vertical yards, this does not look like a stressed offense. Looks very composed. They're just waiting to pick their spots. They do not want to have a second break opportunity for Singapore to show itself.
Oh, opportunity for a layup block. Huang comes up just shy, and then Gauger able to connect with Namath for the score. And Germany back in front 6-5.
That was really an outstanding defensive bid there. Very, very close. I hope we get to see that in slow motion.
Solid response from Germany after surrendering the break.
That's the sort of pressure you have to bring. After you get one break, you cannot be satisfied with it. You have to keep the screws on.
What's the hardest part about playing defense on the sand?
I think in general it's going to be bringing the amount of energy that's required to distract a focused offense and then carry those legs through what could be a possible conversion.
Singapore trying to tie this game at 6. Germany got the first break to lead 2-1, broke again to go up 5-3, but Singapore's got one of those breaks back, and Arasu not able to handle that upline floater. So Germany with a chance to take half. That turn right there was just the 6th total turnover of the half for the two teams combined.
It's really a pleasure to watch games that are this clean.
But they still have the suspense. You still feel the defensive pressure, the magnitude of every throw and catch. Mishet Schleger. Two cutters going to the same spot, so he aptly finds the space on the outside. Yannick Carda to the end zone. 7 connecting with 77, and Casper Gross, who's already been awarded several MVP stickers from opponents over the course of the first couple days, scores the goal to break and take Germany to a 7-5 halftime lead. Winner of this game improves to 2-4 in men's pool play, which pretty comfortably has you in the top 8 for a spot in the quarters. Halftime, Germany up by 2. What a life a seagull must live.
I have a funny story. I know you love little funny stories about a seagull. I one day woke up really early, had my coffee, was feeling very productive, decided to go get breakfast around 10 o'clock, bought a burrito, went to the beach, took one bite, was in heaven, went to go take a second bite. A seagull dove over my head and ripped it out of my hands.
The entire burrito?
Ripped the entire burrito open, ruining most of it.
I'm sorry.
It was pretty tragic.
So you have never forgiven all seagulls because of that, and they are your nemesis.
They are the rats of the sky.
That's the highlight of day 2 here at Worlds, hearing that story.
Out of spite, I kicked sand over the remains of the burrito, so the seagulls that were laying in wait couldn't get it. There were a bunch of them that knew that this was going to happen.
Have you been plotting your revenge against the entire species?
I haven't. I've let it go.
But doesn't sound like you've let it go.
Not entirely. I'm not going to give them an open shot to a burrito again, I can tell you that.
You're very protective of any beach burrito for the rest of your life. First possession for Germany here at the start of the second half.
Nicely shaped space shot. It's just really not guarded at all in that area.
And that wasn't bad end zone defense, but it was just better end zone offense. And Jacob Kerner found the open space. And the 28-year-old makes it 8-5 for Germany.
You know, one of the interesting things to me and a lot of the U.S. delegation has been there's really no one's discovered the perfect way to play beach. And we're seeing two very different styles in this game. Singapore playing a much more handler-heavy attack from behind sort of style of offense, using the cutters only to connect every once in a while. Germany is standing around, waiting until their cutters have a nice opportunity to make a move. They have big open throwing lanes, and they just pick their shots. We've seen a lot more leading passes, a lot more hucks from them.
How would your mindset change as a thrower playing on the beach?
In general, I think you want to throw a lot more flat passes that have wider catching areas rather than very bending and bladey type passes where the catching zone might be smaller. you never really know when the sand monster is going to come out and take your legs out as a receiver or take your receiver's legs out, and you kind of have to play to that.
Those pesky sand monsters can rise up when you least expect them.
They are silent.
It's a good find. Germany defender still kind of standing around as if there had to have been a call because he couldn't have gotten that wide open otherwise.
Really good handler movement again from Singapore. They are very content to keep the ball within the 3 that are behind the disc, or with the disc and behind the disc. And really a crucial inside break shot past the mark so that the following throw was very easy.
Poe the assist, Chang the goal. Curious to hear your thoughts. I mean, as a guy that's won a ton of gold medals, you've probably lost count. When you look at a team like Singapore, you know they're down 2. They're not out of this game, but if they lose this game, they would fall to 1-5. And yet, I feel like they've done a lot of impressive things, and that speaks to the level of the sport that is rising around the world. These events, especially in the middle of the pack, becoming much more competitive. Like, what's the next step for a team like Singapore to take to get higher up in contention? Because they've got a pretty good foundation right here.
Yeah, I don't know Singapore scene that well, but my instincts tell me that it's going to end up being depth. You know, they're able to run the disc through their best throwers and maintain possession oftentimes by relying on those high percentage handlers. And we just don't know if they have that same sort of ability to possess the disc all the way through the roster. And at a tournament like this where fatigue ends up becoming a very significant factor, whether it's due to the sun or running on sand that moves beneath your feet.
Floater hanging in the air, and it was the trailer junk defender that swatted it away, misread slightly by a couple different players on each side.
Yeah, that was excellent help defense. That's somebody who wants to make it to the quarters.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you're spot on with that thought. And look, how do you build depth? You improve your roster over time, bringing in new blood, forcing the competitive level to improve. And we are seeing that. It's a gradual process.
You're exactly right.
I do think, Goose, and I don't know what your thoughts on this are. I mean, from what I have seen through the first couple days, the USA feels easily the clear and obvious favorite. I'm not sure if the U.S. will be challenged on its run to the finals, and perhaps there are folks out there shaking their head at that comment. That's just what my eyes have told me as someone who generally doesn't care who wins and is rooting for great ultimate and would be excited to see one of the USA teams stumble. Not that I'm rooting against them per se, but the point is, underneath the USA, beyond the USA, at this tournament, it feels wide open in every division for second place. Like in the men's division, you got GB that's been in the finals the last 2 Beach Worlds. They're solid again, maybe not as strong as they've been in the past. Spain is talented. France feels dangerous. You know, Canada always has to be given some respect. And it just feels like there's a lot of teams in the mix for that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spot. And it's going to be really interesting to see how it all unfolds.
I can tell you that the U.S. delegation doesn't feel like, you know, each respective team is completely in charge. They're playing very hungry. They want to play meaningful games. They want to play hard. That being said, we have seen very good teams have significant losses to the U.S. so far.
We also have seen a topsy-turvy point right here. One of the more topsy-turvy points of the game. It's an 0 point for Germany, and they're going to use their timeout as Willems calls it with an 8-6 lead, less than 13 minutes away from cap. Winner of this game comfortably heads into Friday feeling like the quarterfinals are in sight. Loser of this game will almost certainly have work still to do. 8-6 Germany, timeout on the field. Well, moments ago, Singapore creating a break chance, but in the aftermath, a little out of sync. Singapore continues to play hard as they trail 8-6. Germany taking a timeout after they get possession back. And Germany trying to make it 9-6 here with just a little more than 10 minutes separating us from the cap.
You have to admire this German O-line's tenacity. They worked really hard to get at least one of those blocks. It was a big layout block. It gave them another opportunity at the end zone that they weren't able to convert, but they are not willing to roll over.
To the break side for Namoff. Back for Kerner. And running across the front of the end zone with another score, Jonas Gauger.
One of the reasons that goal was generated was that we had a German offensive player over where the goal was just scored vacate with very serious intent. His poaching defender panicked and followed him across the field, and it created an open space for Germany to attack that exact spot.
Goose, elsewhere in the men's division right now, really good game. Spain and the Philippines, 8-7 Spain as they play onward. Canada leading France 7-5. Great Britain has a sizable lead, 12-4 on Ireland. But, I mean, those two games, Philippines, Spain, France, Canada, those are four teams that all envision being on the podium. Now they're first, second, or third place at the end of the week.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go so far as to say it was your thesis, but I think it does confirm what you were describing earlier, where we've got a very thick pool of teams and countries that could really end up anywhere in the medaling bracket.
Only one game in the tournament scheduled for the top of the hour coming up in about 24 minutes. That will be USA-Japan in the men's division. Darryl Stanley will jump on the mic for that call. So we get another look at the American men as they try to continue their run of perfection in pool play. Para Arasu takes his time, hits his open mate, and it's 9-7.
We're seeing the same thing from Singapore, almost point to point. Very handler-driven offense. Occasionally they'll break through whatever sort of lanes may be clogged by the Germans, find a cutter. Typically the cutter gets right back to the handlers, and they resume.
What in your mind is the key for Singapore these next few points as they try to break Germany and really create a chance to win this game?
I think they're going to have to do what I think I'm seeing right now from the sideline, which is bring a lot of energy. They're going to need to, challenge basically every throw. Germany looks way too comfortable in most of these O points. We did see several turns last point, and maybe fatigue is starting to set in, and Singapore will get an opportunity here.
9 goals, 4 turns for Germany. 7 goals, 6 turns for Singapore. Germany on offense. Naumoff coming under. Launching deep. And Poe got the tip, but it was not enough as Hacker catches it off the deflection, and even he can't believe it.
Seeing a lot of hands on head from Singapore. They are in disbelief. They were so excited whenever they got a paw on that one.
I mean, what a play by James Poe, who initially wasn't all that excited to play on the beach, and then he got selected to the team. He said he's been loving it. He was named captain. That would have been a game-changing play. And you can't even snarkily say catch your D's here. I mean, you could, but come on. That was a tremendous effort, just not quite enough.
A really outstanding athleticism on display there. That is attempting to block a throw that's coming in above the head, and he's going up at a 45-degree angle to get it, and he's pushing off sand.
Third assist of the game for Yegor Naumoff. Although I guess you could give Poe partial assist as well. All right, feels like we're in crunch time for Singapore. This is a must-hold spot here.
Connecting with our cutter level. Back to some handlers.
I mean, if you're patient and if your cutters keep churning on a day like this without much wind, it's really hard to create a whole lot of impediment to the offense. And Singapore coolly converts.
You can really see here that Singapore is not in love with the idea of swinging the disc all the way across the field to score. They are trying to take the shortest path possible, and I think a lot of that's from their handler generation.
Singapore back within 2. Trying to find another break. They've only had 1 so far in the game. High throw. Naumoff runs it down. Huang sets the mark. And Naumoff stumbles. Some contact with Huang. Huang looking for a handshake. Naumoff prioritizing dusting himself off. This main showcase field has gotten dustier deeper into the day both days. Byproduct of the heat.
The sand's also just being churned up by all of its use. This is going to be deep sand to begin with, and it's going to become deeper sand as the week goes on. Probably a high reset here.
And it's a turnover, almost to Callahan. Poe picks it off and dishes the quick score. And the Singapore team is inspired. 10-9.
Wow, that was a really great defensive read on the play. Singapore saw the same thing that I did, that we were seeing a high stall situation, and that they're just kind of probably try to leverage a high sort of reset to the taller players. Unfortunately, there was just an obvious disconnect between the thrower and the receiver in that situation.
So that's the second break of the game for Singapore. Dylan Ung able to finish the point. And all of a sudden, Germany up against it. They had a comfortable 3-goal lead not that long ago, Goose. And here we are, 10-9. Clock ticking down. This is anybody's game.
I'm excited to be able to watch this one. I'm also very curious to see if Germany's going to turn back to their deep game or they're going to feel too much pressure and too much risk this late in the game. I think we'll be all excited to see how they problem solve the intensity that we're seeing from Singapore's renewed energy.
Really can give credit to every defender that was on the field that last point. Poe gets the catch block, but it was a coverage sack where the downfield defense just did not give the handler any good option. Some miscommunication in the reset space, and that's as good of a pull as you'll see all week long. Namoff trapped in the back corner of his end zone. Bidding, that would have been a spectacular game-tying layout. Callahan for Arasu, but he was inches away. Around for Kerner. There's a pick in the middle of the field. Pascal was coming under.
I'm not seeing a lot of reticence from the throwers for looking deep. I'm seeing the cutters not really generate a lot of deep opportunities. Let's see if they switch gears here with a shallow deep cut.
Pascal with a big swing. Kerner. Pascal. What's the feeling as a defender when you've been really working for a long time? Hold that thought. Huck going up. Gauger is there. And Germany is back up by 2.
Germany not afraid to uncork that time. We didn't see a whole lot of really good, viable deep cuts, in part because Singapore's excellent coverage.
Look at the exhaustion from the Singapore defenders that are on the field as we check out what Giannis Gauger has done in this game. In addition to a pair of blocks, he's now got 3 goals and 1 assist.
Well, really seeing a player that can do anything that Germany needs it to do, especially as this game becomes very tight and goal-scoring opportunities are very precious.
All alone on a nice throw to make it 11-9.
Really, my question now is,
Singapore just took a timeout. They just used their timeout because they put their top line on the field for that last point, and they're trying to rest up their best. What are you going to say?
I think that's a great call. I was wondering if Germany was going to be able to turn around and bring the same sort of energy we just saw expelled by Singapore to try to close out this game, or are they too tired? Do they not want it enough? We're going to see that unfold here in just a minute.
(11-9) Germany leads. Timeout on the field. Cap goes on after this next point. In between rounds earlier today, Goose, I was down on the beach, dunked in the water. It was chilly, but it was refreshing, and it was incredible to watch some of the surfers that ride the waves here in Huntington Beach. There's a lot of talent, both on the sand and out there on the waves.
If I'm not mistaken, there may be some sort of Paralympic sort of surfing competition that's taking place. I've been seeing a lot of players, or I guess they're not players, a lot of surfers from other parts of the world being led around.
And we think the cap goes on after this point. Singapore trying to make it 11-10. USA, Japan, men's division action coming up on this field. Scheduled to start in less than 13 minutes. Arasu Back for Chang. A lot of space on the far side of the field right now, Goose.
There sure is. It looks like that timeout was a very well measured one. We're seeing a lot of energy from this handler group.
Germany dialed up the defensive energy too. And interestingly, Karsten Buchner was holding his arms in the air like the game was over on that turn. And Germany still has work to do. It's not quite enough float for Prem to run that down.
It's one of those things where we see the offense in a really nice rhythm. Germany kind of clogs things up, and they have to go to plan B, and the throw just not on the mark for
Rasu to run that down, excuse me. So picking up for Germany, Robin Chan. And he wants it all.
Tall receiver.
Carda versus Prem, and it's Prem! He elevated off the sand magnificently. What a block.
That was really impressive. Great positioning, great read, and then excellent explosiveness off the sand.
Germany's been up virtually the whole game, and yet Singapore will not die, and it's a layout snag. Getting tripped by the goal line in the process. Para Arasu brings Singapore back within one.
Wow, there is no quit in this team, and we are loving it.
What a game this has turned out to be. The block from Prem, 27 years old, from India, and his countryman Para Arasu. Have you had to make a goal-scoring grab while getting tripped by the goal line on the sand?
I have actually, and I had just as little confidence as he may have had there for a moment that he was going to get there. Thankfully, he was able to get his feet under him, make himself into a horizontal target right before it found the sand.
So 11-10. Cap is now on. This is a game to 12. Germany has two chances to hold offensively. The wind is not a factor in either direction. James Poe with the pull. Singapore has 2 breaks already in the game. They need 2 more to win it.
Germany's very deep from their handlers, able to connect here.
It's Gauger.
They're going to need a swing or
and
attack
just a
deep.
high stall prayer. James Poe there defensively, but it's the taller Christian Hacker going over the top. Germany, perhaps one more throw away. Now looking for a reset and all the way back to midfield. Back to Jacob Kerner. Across the front of the end zone to win the game. Jonas Gauger as Germany prevails 12-10. Exhilarating stuff on the beaches here in California. Singapore gave it all they had, but Germany just a smidge better in the end.
A couple of really impressive individual performances there, using height to rescue Germany from a high stall situation. And then that last grab in the end zone was generated from a simple power cut. The cutter really just wanted to score, displaced the Singaporean defender through sheer effort and explosiveness.
Well, at international tournaments, you never know what you're going to get in terms of the quality of the matchup, in terms of the level of play. That was a really high-level game between two teams that haven't had a lot of success in terms of wins yet on the beach, but they were very evenly matched. And the guts that we saw from Singapore, I mean, they were down 7. They had a chance to get blocks down by 1 late. But, you know, credit to Germany. They made some big grabs. That last snag by the big man, Christian Hacker, I mean, if he doesn't make that grab, who knows what happens.
Yeah, we could have seen a totally different outcome to this game. Germany really, really impressed me with their ability to stand, assess the field, create space downfield, have wide open throwing lanes throughout this. game really paid off for them in the end.
Goose, we're going to chat now with Jonas Gauger, who leads Germany in goals for the tournament. 3 more in this game. Jonas, congratulations, man. What a battle that was. How does it feel to prevail and escape against this Singapore team that really brought the energy late?
Yeah, I mean, it was a super great game. We knew coming into this game that it was going to be one of the important ones to put us high in the ranking and get us to quarters. We had a scrimmage against them, so we knew they were going to put up a fight, and they did. They're super athletic, super fast, and yeah, luckily we were able to work through their defense, and yeah, in the end, I think we can be proud of ourselves.
I personally was impressed with your offense's ability to just look very patient, create space for one another downfield. Is that something that took a lot of work as a transition from grass to sand, or was that a natural transition for your team?
No, it definitely did take a lot of work. We are a fairly unexperienced team, at least on the international level on beach. So, yeah, no, we did work on ourselves. We had great coaches, and we put a lot of work into the strategy, and yeah, luckily it paid out.
Jonas, we appreciate you joining us. Obviously, you're breathing hard. Real quick, how's the body feeling after 6 games in like the last 30 hours or something like that?
How does it feel? Tired? Yeah, no, it's a lot of games in a lot of heat. Yeah, it's way colder in Germany already.
Well, the good news is you have an easy one tomorrow morning against, that's USA that you're playing first tomorrow morning. So get some rest tonight and then give America your best tomorrow. Jonas, congrats on the win.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. Jonas Gauger has 11 goals in 6 games. He's in the top 10 in the men's division in goals. Goose, first of all, tremendous job on your broadcasting debut. Hope it's not the end. Hope it's just the beginning. And curious to get your final thoughts on Singapore, Germany, with Germany hanging on 12-10.
Really just a fascinating display of 2 very different styles of ways of playing on beach. Again, as we described earlier, this is not a solved game. There are a lot of different ways to play it, and the styles could not have been in a sharper contrast here. Really exciting for me to watch. Hopefully everyone at home. Big throws from Germany, as we're seeing right now on the screen. And a lot of really small movements from Singapore, just consistently grinding all the way down the field.
All righty. Great to be alongside Goose Helton. And a guy wearing his jersey might score a few goals in this next game that we got coming up here in just a few minutes. It's USA Japan coming up momentarily. Daryl Stanley will hop on the mic. For now, we say so long for just a few minutes. For Goose Helton, I'm Evan Lepler. Germany 12, Singapore 10.